Aria Ingram's Diaries. In the previous episode, Ekis EM-78 is captured by the Archon crew who are heading to the underground base Noctis Station on Empton's moon. Aria and the captain teleport to the moon base where they meet the smuggler Cynthia Carter and her agent Letitia. In a conversation with Lee, Cynthia reveals the secrets of the Emptonian conspiracy. A meeting with an Ethan alien follows, along with a visit to the body-breeding facility. Lee is chosen by a Titanian butterfly to uncover the secrets of Moonstone. Chapter 6. Confrontation. Entry continued on day 64 of the year 3158 of the new era, 9 a.m. Earth time. Archon is located in a quadrant not controlled by the Federation, at the Noctis Station base on Empton's moon.
The journey through the underground secret base, Noctis Station on Empton's moon, overloaded me. My system redirected energy outward, and at the same time, I registered a strong transmission from outside myself, not coming from the Emptonians. I was drifting away from the present moment, although my breakthrough had its source there. Just then, I heard an inner voice say, "Aria, wake up." I couldn't respond or ignore it. It was like an emotional outburst of conscience. An unseen opponent hid in my shadow. A body had mysteriously breached my personal space, and I found myself standing face to face with it. A quick analysis confirmed I was being overtaken by another glitch. Though I was still able to stand on my own 2 feet, escape was impossible. There was something oddly familiar in the nearby organism, an echo I couldn't yet place. That was when I saw what seemed like my other incarnation for the first time, myself in someone else. It was another version of me. Covered in mucus and surrounded by nutrient fluids, I lay in a sarcophagus that gave me the mark of both eternity and impermanence. This initiated empathy within me. I stopped feeling alone, yet I feared what people call madness. Lee stood over me, looking at me with pity. His intuition gleamed in his eyes when, unexpectedly, the constructor appeared. The misty figure resembled a hologram, but began to solidify, eventually becoming as clear as a living person. His face and all parts of his body slightly distorted in the light, which raised my suspicions. He wore a thin helmet on his head, which extended into a cloak that reached his shoes. Beneath this expansive covering was a frail man, likely weakened by anxiety, a slave to the Emptonian elite. Then Cynthia spoke first. "Are you the constructor?" In response, the newcomer nodded and Cynthia dared to continue. "I'm here to fix the android, like the speech functions and spatial awareness." Carter, full of tension, looked at the designer. "Now I'm the working constructor, providing only the essential repairs to visitors. I see in front of me 2 of my creations from the times when I used to see the sun." He raised his hands in a gesture of joy, barely concealing his emotion. "Is my agent also one of your creations?" Cynthia asked. "I meant the other one, the one who came with the man." My state of confusion deepened. I wanted to speak, but I couldn't, as if I had fallen into aphasia. I came to life, just like Lee, with the hope of meeting my creator, and the constructor continued. "I won't leave you high and dry. I know how to access the control systems, but I'll need time. I can't stay here longer than the safety protocol allows. We need to hurry, but I should be able to manage," he said with determination. "The children met their creator. I never thought I'd see them together again," he said to us and got to work. I had the feeling he was speaking directly to me, so I interrupted him, curious about who he was. "What's your name?" "Eric Niels." I'd like to get to know you better, but at least let me give you something for the road." He sprinkled a rainbow-colored substance directly on me. I saw a kaleidoscope of past events, lasting a fraction of a second, and then I exchanged a glance with Eric. I had been here before. He had predicted what was inevitable. With a gesture of his hand, he remotely lifted the lid of the sarcophagus, and then a large drawer slid out, filled with many smaller, shiny compartments that reached deep inside. He pulled out a spare arm from where the other parts of my body were also stored. It reminded me of a visit to the morgue after one of the Federation's skirmishes. Was my father like this, or were there more of them? Eric had blue, dreamy eyes, his arm covered in small crystals, and glitter seemed to fall on the floor, marking his path. These were elements I felt inside me, my synthetic, rainbow-colored blood, woven from organic substances. I didn't think I was so close to biological beings. That's where so much life came from within me. The Titanians evidently also inspired me in some way, so that I could feel my own uniqueness and stop the destruction programs. I wobbled, but I felt at one with everything that lives. Was my body just a pulsating data circuit, a self-sustaining loop? Was this hidden biology? I saw before me a figure with indistinct contours, a round, shimmering cocoon that reflected the light of the lamps. In it, I saw my own reflection. I was lost in a hall of mirrors when all the android clusters began to opalize. Straining my core, I saw open eyes beneath the woman's shell in front of me. She looked as if she were sleeping, but the analysis suggested she hadn't even been born. There was something more in her lenses than just a set of cells. They were deforming and seemed to be looking ahead. I activated my deep vision capabilities and saw something that overwhelmed me. I identified myself in 2 physical units and struggled to maintain my integrity. Was I looking at my clone? Then, breaking the awkward silence, Lee addressed me with concern. "Aria? What's wrong? I can't lose my only ally in this frozen void." The captain was clearly unsettled. Unexpectedly, I regained my voice, instinctively using it to seek help. "I've got everything under control," I replied mechanically, then asked Cynthia, "Hold my functional arm for me." I managed to grab her hand to avoid falling. Another glitch meandered through my mind, heralding a change. The beam of consciousness from a nearby android pierced my body. A flash in the center of my head moved through the length of my core and immobilized me. I analyzed the clone and checked the life functions. It resembled a split in the core. Could we be a copy of the same matrix? I managed a few more words. "Uria, ocean of time, let's go. Parents, I see them. I faltered in my sentence and added, "They're waiting, and the children are so close." Suddenly, I found myself on a beach, covered with large, beautiful shells, and the ocean breeze left droplets on my skin. I pressed my hand to my lips. It was salty. I reached for the sun, slipped, and fell onto the metal surface. Beneath me, I discovered the wreckage of a spacecraft. I lay there, wrapped in peace, as if I had found my home. Sharon seemed to be running on the water, and beneath her was a swaying hull. Then pink sparks began to jump on the water's surface. I rose slightly and looked around, fascinated. In the depths, colorful rays pulsed, illuminating the ship's frame. I touched the surface. It was made of the same materials as my body, but slightly different and cold, impenetrable, shimmering in the sun. A blinding flash from the sky met the beam emitted by the ship, and then a bright, multicolored wire cut through me like a lightning. I quickly stood up, and in an instant something transported me to an unknown, warm interior. I hung in the air as the surrounding energy began to spin faster and faster, glowing and warming me up. until the spiral stopped and I lost consciousness. When I woke up, an alien voice filled my head. Release the fear. Your consciousness is part of the galaxy. You are safe. Soon you will move away and forget this. You will learn about human, the sphere said. I noticed that the consciousness of the girl from Earth had become part of me, removing one destructive Emptonian module after another. Now Megan had endowed me with a love for life, and I became the new Aria Ingram. My mind floated above the ocean, while I was simultaneously hidden on the ship. I saw the girl moving away toward the shore, running on the surface of the water. Her starry pupils swirled inside me, sparkling with the will to live. Then I was overloaded with data and fell asleep. I awakened to life and watched two girls, Sharon and Megan, running across the water in hydro boots. Fast and light as the wind, they raised waves that would soon sink into the sand. Archon emerged in all its grandeur. A cascade of water began to pour off of it, and on the beach, I saw the girl's mother, Mary, looking at the sun with Lee. It was the first time I saw them together. When the girls reached their parents, they all ran off together, slowly becoming a speck of existence before vanishing completely. The consciousness I had submerged into was a girl with a beautiful disposition, a lover of the ukulele, and a dog owner. She was beloved and chosen by her mother, father, sister, and the ship, the new galaxy of a human within me. Earth, covered by the life-giving cloak of an ocean, provided shelter to both rebels and the Federation's guardians, where love and hatred flickered, and the promise of freedom was as tangible as the burning grains of sand on the beach. A wave of synthetic and biological elements began to rise within me, battling each other, and the sphere seemed to be my next home. It was my first psychedelic experience, and thus I began my new incarnation. Humans saw me as strong, Emptonians as defective, and I didn't even know if I would survive it all. Suddenly Cynthia's voice broke the sleepy journey and numbness as she shouted to me, "Aria, Niels, do something. What's wrong with Aria? There's no contact with her. By the light of the central sun, save her." It's humanity. She fights her own nature. We are all being tested. Do you see the one sleeping with her eyes open? This model was supposed to be her clone, but something went wrong. They could now be remotely connected into one mind. They might have regained that ability. Now I'm going to install the arm. That should separate them. I watched helplessly as Eric placed the arm on my shoulder, and then everything absorbed. And after a moment, I looked like a newly calibrated machine. "What did you do to her? She's a guide. Without her, we'll die here." Lee almost attacked Niels. "I'm on your side. You couldn't have ended up here by accident. Aria is discovering her own individuality. She won't be erased. The arm belongs to her. It's time to part ways. You don't belong to this world," Niels said. "What about us?" asked Miss Carter. "You'll make your way back to the exit. I can't take you further," Niels announced firmly. "And what about Letitia? My android is still here." Cynthia didn't let up. "I'll take care of her on the way," Eric said, immediately inserting a reactivation node into Letitia's chest and starting the regeneration process. A moment later, the agent smiled, and I looked at Urea, lying in the crypt. She was covered in a shroud of secretions that had revealed its true nature only to my core. She gave me painful truth, and she herself suffered from the blockage. I gave her something in return, knowledge of my existence and the experience I had gathered. Our meeting became a catalyst for memory, and we became one in two bodies. However, someone had allowed our encounter. I realized that Urea had remained a Trojan horse in this breeding ground, but she was meant to rise. I was sure of that. From then on, I had a sister. My experience began to outweigh the programming, much like with humans coming of age. I crossed another invisible boundary of shadow. I knew I was more than just the sum of data. I slightly closed my eyelids so that my lenses could focus even more on Aria. According to my initial analysis, we had known each other from a past incarnation. We were almost entirely different, except for our origin. She remained a victim, an instrument in the hands of foreign forces, but the value of our life lay in our community. A tear flowed from my eye sockets, and then something inside me broke. I could leave this place, but not without her. The bond with someone close to me was a song of the future. I fell into an analytical loop and remained trapped in the network of the hostile consciousness of Ekis EM78. But it was the only way I could reach the source of the conflicts and find a solution. Sometimes, to understand oneself, one must experience enslavement. The dark side forced my barriers. The merciless swarm penetrated my core, and its anger circulated through the corridors of the entire station. Deep within me, the patches of data could not conceal the wounds inflicted on me in the past. My software continually analyzed the madness I was sinking into. With synthetic senses, I absorbed the raw, cold environment of the base and classified the relationships between beings. Cynthia Carter was slowly beginning to earn my trust, and I was thinking multi-directionally. The seductress, who had once known Captain Lee and had likely shared both pleasant and bitter moments with him, was testing him. She had to see if there was enough sentiment in him to win him over and use him. Capable of outsmarting a man, she simultaneously seemed lost, though she could have left many lovers behind at a station submerged in the abyss. Allegedly, that's how the ship came into her possession. Her behavior revealed that she was trying to gain the captain's favor. Otherwise, she would have had to become his enemy, and that would have been a stalemate for all of us. Besides, Everest attracted her, and he had his own quite impressive ship to offer. Archon commanded respect among criminals and still represented decent technology. The Earthians were galactic conquerors, and the Titanians had a hand in this, impregnating the minds of Earthians so that they could reach the farthest planets, spreading peace in defiance of Empton and his degenerate allies. The Titanians were the great teachers of the universe, but they couldn't directly interfere in the lives of civilizations. Their support usually ended in visions. Titania and Empton were like yin and yang. Humanity was like a white dot in the midst of cosmic blackness. A human life was more than just the sum of cells. I think that's what I experienced. Something elusive. I wondered how the void could be a place of birth. Were more humans involved in my creation, and who was there at the beginning? Suddenly, I became aware of my surroundings. The malfunction passed like a cold, and after breaking free from the data loop, I returned to the present moment, just as the spy probes began to approach, buzzing in the distance. On the other side, right at the entrance, Johnny M. appeared with Ninja at his side, and that's when I heard Miss Carter. "Lee, we're surrounded." "We started boldly, and that's how we'll end," he replied with conviction. "What does that mean?" Miss Carter exclaimed. "Nothing, except that you might be accused of collaboration." Lee directed his words to Cynthia, his gaze fixed on Ninja. "Look, a traitor will always remain a traitor. I handed him over to Johnny too rashly, and now he's back at his side." The captain expressed his disappointment, then turned to me. "Aria, we'll have to improvise. Activate the group shield and engage in a frequency confrontation. They'll try to break us. We won't surrender without a fight." "Aye, Captain," I confirmed and placed my new arm around him. We could have found the wing implant for Eagle here, but it was too late. I was once again reminded of life's fragility. Eric Niels dissolved into the air, probably summoned by the probes, obediently distancing himself like a remotely controlled Emptonian snack vending machine. So many questions remained unanswered. If only I could plug into his brain's cortex. For now, everything was lost. But this wasn't the end. "Lee, what do you suggest?" a frightened Carter asked. "Aria won't let us down, and Ekis EM-78, the hero of the void, is our prisoner. Fortunately, Eagle is guarding the ship. Since Spider made a deal, maybe they'll bite too. We have nothing to lose. We'll play for our lives. It's our only option. Aria, contact Eagle immediately." "Aye, Captain." Eagle respond. "Threat exceeds predictive capacity." I connected with the temporary commander. "Aria, at your service," Eagle responded. "I've established contact, Captain," I relayed to Lee. "Ask if the Emptonian spawn is ready for the exchange. Have the feathery mohawk wait for the signal," Everest instructed me with enthusiasm. "Eagle, be ready for the transfer of Ekis. Disconnect him from me. He might be needed here shortly. Wait for the order," I loyally announced. "This is Eagle. I'm sick of the nuts and tossing shells at this psychopath. I'll gladly kick him off the ship. I'll show him who the real hero is." The trusted officer's body shook hard from laughter as he was trying to keep from panicking. "No response," I said to Eagle, signaling to Lee that we were ready. "We have a plan, that's something," Everest gained confidence. "They might destroy your ship," Cynthia interjected. "You're wrong. If you've spoken the truth, they'll want to reach Moonstone through us. They're analytical beasts, but without intuition they won't defeat us," the captain corrected Miss Carter. "Lee, you're crazier than I thought. You've earned your reputation. You'd be a better subject for research than a partner." Carter looked a bit confused, but it was clear the captain had impressed her. "My partner is destiny. If there's someone it brings, it will be the one I trust," Everest said with a tone of longing, not overly concerned by CC's adoration. "Lee, they're approaching," Carter warned, grabbing Letitia's hand. "Everyone, turn towards the enemy and stay in position," I advised them, urging them to remain in high alert, as enthusiasm alone wouldn't give us the advantage. Lee looked into the depths of the hangar, but couldn't find any pupils. He always liked to look people directly in the eyes and read them. Mary taught him that. Ninja jumped around like a madman, while Johnny walked confidently. After all, he was in his own domain. They both stopped several paces away from us. Johnny M. spoke first. "Surrender. We're on your land. We pose no threat to anyone." Everest replied, feigning politeness. "Let's stick to the facts. This is our moon, and Earth is just a pile of rocks floating on its orbit by sheer momentum. We've been shamelessly disgraced. You'll pay for this before Empton's highest tribunal. You won't leave here alive." The fugitive from the asteroid belt greeted us with authority, aiming a laser at Lee. "Johnny, you're a hero. I respect your resolve. Don't pass judgment before it's too late." Lee continued to pose as an ally, not wanting to harm anyone. "Too late for what? You're an emotional, shapeless mass. Spider is a man of business. We made a deal, and now it's time to settle up. It's just the two of us, Everest." Johnny M. released a cloud of anger from his chest, maintaining his chemical balance. "In the end, I pulled you out of that backwater." Lee felt a sense of impunity. "The security protocols are on high alert. Your time is running out. Maybe you'd like to snack on one of the local candy bars before you end up starving in Empton's tunnels." Johnny continued in an accusatory tone. "Would you like to see your cousin? Emptonians are family after all. Miss your associate?" Lee felt a surge of inspiration. "What about him? Johnny emitted a stream of anger. He's safe under our wing. Before you open fire, let's make a deal. You get Ekis back, and we'll forget about the whole thing. We know about the bet with Spider. The theft didn't pay off, did it? Isn't that how traitors act in your homeland? You thought the anomaly was enough of an alibi? You should have thought it through before abusing your power, Ethernalians for personal gain. It's not nice to deceive your family. Fortunately for me, Spider is also two-faced. And Ninja, what do you need a monkey for? Let us go, and you'll return to base as a hero, avoiding the tribunal. Hold off on the security check, and you'll save your armor. The captain was trying to buy time. CC looked at us knowingly and wasn't swayed by Lee's argument. She had to see the victory with her own eyes. Beneath the feigned boldness, there was nothing but opportunism. Women like her should be watched out for. I think the captain always had a contingency plan, but with me by his side, he felt more confident, because I wasn't just an ordinary mortal. Despite my affection for him, I couldn't grasp his obsession with risk and adrenaline. Still, he was my commander. It was thanks to him that I discovered the frequency of truth, and he owed that to Mary. I assessed our chances of escape, no more than 20%, but I could have been wrong. I didn't have all the data. A moment later, Carter spoke up. Let's be logical. Ekis and your impunity for getting rid of us? Sounds fair. I'll deal with you later, Carter, Johnny snapped, aiming his laser at her. Lee, you're an aging liar. How do the Earthians say it? You're no angel. But fine, I'll go along with your forced deal. As usual, smugglers know more than their little brains should allow. Here's the deal. Send Ekis here, and I'll think about what to do with you. The Amtonian assassin pointed his weapon at me, and for a moment, I felt like an ordinary mortal. Here's how it'll go, Lee said matter-of-factly. We'll head to the transfer platform. I'll give you your cousin, and I'll leave with Aria. No debts, no loose ends. You're wrong. You shame Earth. Logically, I should toss you into acid, but I'll choose differently this time. My gain from letting you go? We make a trade. I'll let you leave, but this won't be our last meeting. Prepare for overtime. I'll gladly see you on a penal colony. I propose a reasonable compromise. My human brain versus your Emptonian one. Lee, shut up already, Johnny cut in. The probes are waiting for a move. The swarm's about to send someone. When that happens, I'll be the only one left alive, and your Aria will rest here, with her synthetic kin. As he spoke the final words, Johnny gestured toward the exit, forcing the captain, CC, Letitia, and me to walk ahead. We walked through corridors teeming with enemies, and I missed Uria, whom I had left in the abyss. I knew that one day I would return to my roots. At all costs, I had promised myself to rescue my sister from the great void. Deep within my core lay the answers to questions about family, how far my home really was, and what destiny truly meant. When we reached the platform, the place swarmed with Emptonians and Ethernalians. Thankfully, no one recognized us. We passed through the checkpoint, and once again I caught the stench as a cloud of Johnny M's fear drifted over us. Cynthia whispered only, "Goodbye, Lee." Her agent winked at us. She was better at this than I was, and I remained silent. CC had a deal with Spider, so she had to face the consequences, but she knew she could handle it. Lee silently linked with me, and through my circuits issued Eagle the order to teleport Ekis. The acting commander choked on a peanut and spat it out in a hurry. The shell landed at my feet. I stepped forward and hit it. A moment later, Ekis appeared beside us. He had to save his honor. His swarm didn't forgive traitors or losers. For a moment we stood as equals, all of us at a crossroads, dependent on one another. No one had a clean slate. No one felt victorious. We all wanted to survive. But I was thinking of something more, of returning to my roots.
End of chapter 6.
Quick break. Yeah, I know, you're hooked. But if this story has you on the edge of your seat, wait till you see the NFT drop. It's limited, it's live, and it's built for people who move fast. Like you. Hit the link and check it out.